بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. تكملة لمحاضرتنا السابقة اللي كانت oral cavity for the digestive system. Digestive system for the anatomy consists from the oral cavity, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, with the associated gland, liver, pancreas, and the salivary gland. This part of the digestive system for the anatomy. For the histology, the digestive system consists from the three parts. The whole oral cavity involve the salivary gland and the oropharynx. Two, tubular digestive tract اللي يتضمن لنا الأسوفيغاس، الستومك، duodenum, jejunum and ileum، واللارج intestine اللي هو cecum, colon and rectum. 3. The associated gland اللي كان عندنا liver, pancreas and part from the gallbladder. Now let's talk about of the gastrointestinal tract. The gastrointestinal tract is a long hollow tube extended from the esophagus to of the rectum. It includes the esophagus, stomach, small intestine, duodenum, jejunum, and ileum, large intestine, colon, and rectum. The wall of the digestive tube consists from the four layers that show the basic histological organization اللي هما mucosa, submucosa, musculars externa, and the serose or the adventitia. Now, the talk about of the esophagus, the first part of the tubular digestive tract. The esophagus. The esophagus is a soft tube extended from the pharynx to of the stomach. Is located the posterior of the trachea and in the mediastinum of the thoracic cavity. This part of this diagram show the esophagus extended from the pharynx to of the stomach. For the anatomy, the esophagus consists from the three parts: the cervical part, thoracic, and abdominal part. For the histology, the esophagus is the consist, or the wall of the esophagus is the consist from the four layers: mucosa, submucosa, muscularis, externe, serose, and adventitia. This slide shows the wall of the esophagus: mucosa, submucosa, musculars externa, serose, and the adventitia. The mucosa. The mucosa has the three parts or the three regions اللي هو epithelia, lamina propria, and muscularis mucosa. The epithelia is a stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium that lining the mucosa of the esophagus. Lamina propria, it is the loose connective tissue with the gland in the esophagus. This is the gland named the esophageal cardiac gland. This gland just in the region near of the stomach, just in the region near of the stomach. Muscularis mucosa is the consist of the single layer longitudinal smooth muscle fiber. The submucosa, two part, the submucosa. The submucosa It is the consist of the fibroelastic connective tissue اللي هو dense connective tissue that contain of the large blood and lymphatic vessel with the nerve fiber اللي هو ganglion cell with the lymphatic nodule are present in the region of the esophagus. And the submucosa of the esophagus have the gland. This gland named the esophageal proper gland. This characteristic by small compound tubulo-alveolar gland. Okay, this gland اللي هي تكون mucus secretion gland. This wall of the esophagus اللي هو قلنا epithelia lamina propria muscularis mucosa. This part of the mucosa. Submucosa اللي هو dense connective tissue with the blood, lymphatic vessel, with the nerve, and with the gland. This gland named the esophageal proper gland. A three part, the muscularis externa. The muscularis externa is the composed of the inner circular and outer longitudinal muscle layer. قلنا الاسophagus for the anatomy consists from three parts: cervical part, thoracic part, and abdominal part. And the muscularis mucosa. In the muscularis externa of the esophagus. This muscularis externa is subdivided to three parts: upper part, middle part, and lower part. In the upper 1/3 of the esophagus, this consists from the skeletal muscle. يعني in the cervical part of the esophagus, the muscularis externa consists from the skeletal muscle. يعني inner circular with the skeletal muscle and outer longitudinal layer with the skeletal muscle. 2. In the middle 1/3, this consists of the skeletal and smooth muscle. Skeletal and smooth muscle. Inner circular muscle with the skeletal muscle. Outer longitudinal with the smooth muscle. 3. In the lower 1/3, this consists just smooth muscle fiber. Only smooth muscle fiber. يعني inner circular muscle layer smooth muscle, outer longitudinal layer with the smooth muscle. For the adventitia and serosa. نعرف المقارنة between adventitia and serosa. Adventitia just connective tissue. Serosa اللي هي connective tissue with the serosa. قلنا the esophagus three part: cervical and thoracic with the abdomen. The cervical and the thoracic part covering by or surrounding by just connective tissue اللي هي راح تكون adventitia. And the last part اللي هو الابdominal part connective tissue with the peritoneum. البريتونيوم هو عبارة عن simple squamous mesothelium. إذن simple squamous mesothelium with the connective tissue راح يكون لنا السيروزا. إذن the wall of the esophagus consists from the four layers: mucosa, submucosa, muscularis externa, serosa, and adventitia. نميز slide الأسوفيغاس according to the epithelia اللي هو عبارة عن stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelia and submucosa by a gland, this name esophageal proper gland, and the muscularis externa. And the esophagus consists from the skeletal muscle and the smooth muscle. A skeletal muscle just in the cervical part, a skeletal and smooth muscle with the thoracic part, a smooth muscle just in the abdominal part. This slide with the hematoxin eosin show the epithelia اللي هي stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelia, laminopropria loose connective tissue, muscularis mucosa single layer smooth muscle, submucosa dense connective tissue with the esophageal proper gland, muscularis externa inner circular muscle layer and outer longitudinal layer, والadventitia and serosa. Adventitia in the cervical and thoracic part, والserosa in the abdominal part. This slide show the epithelia والlamina propria epithelia اللي هي عبارة عن non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelia، والlamina propria loose connective tissue، muscularis mucosa single layer smooth muscle، submucosa dense connective tissue with the gland، والmuscularis external. 3 slides from the esophagus show the mucosa with the epithelia اللي هي stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelia، و submucosa with the submucosal gland اللي هو esophageal proper gland. And all slide of the esophagus show the muscularis externa with the skeletal muscle and the smooth muscle. This slide for the histology. ممكن تختبر معلوماتك هنا. This slide with the hematoxin A and eosin. وهنا name this slide بشكل عام. Name this slide and name this part of the slide. Name this part of the slide. Okay. 2. Give the type epithelium in the slide. Give the type epithelium in the slide. 3. Name this part in the slide. Name this part. Name this part in the slide. Okay. 3. Name this structure in the slide. This structure in the slide. Name this layer in the slide. Name this layer in the slide. Okay, this slide for the esophagus with the hematoxin and eosin. This layer mucosa. This layer mucosa. This layer submucosa. Muscularis externa. And name this structure and name this structure in the submucosa. Thank you for listening.